What if the person sitting next to you right now, the one who swears they love you more than anything, is secretly living a double life? What if behind every I love you text, there's a hidden conversation with someone else? Before you start checking your partner's phone, let me tell you something even more disturbing. Psychology tells us that cheating isn't always about falling out of love. Sometimes the people who cheat the most are the ones who seem the most devoted. Remember Ned Fulmer from the Try Guys? The internet's favorite wife guy who literally built his entire brand around loving his wife? Yeah, he cheated. Adam Levine, the Maroon 5 frontman who sang love songs about his supermodel wife while she was pregnant with their third child, he was sexting Instagram models and even wanted to name his baby after his mistress. And just recently in 2024, we saw Ariana Grande's messy situation with her married co-star, Barry Keoghan, reportedly getting cozy with influencers behind Sabrina Carpenter's back, and Megan Fox finding upsetting messages on Machine Gun Kelly's phone during a Thanksgiving trip. These aren't just celebrity scandals, they're windows into something deeper. Something psychologists have been studying for decades. So today we're diving into the dark psychology of cheaters. Why do people do it? What's going on in their brains? And more importantly, how can you spot the warning signs? Let's start with a basic question. What even counts as cheating? You might think it's just physical, right? But researchers at the National Institutes of Health published a massive review in 2023 that defines infidelity as violating a relationship's expectations of exclusivity, whether that's sexual, romantic, or both. That means sexting someone at 2 a.m., cheating. Having a secret emotional connection where you share things you don't tell your partner, also cheating. Meeting someone on a dating app just to talk. Yeah, that counts too. Therapist Shirley Glass, who literally wrote the book on affairs called Not Just Friends, says the core of infidelity isn't even about sex. It's about betrayal of trust and what she calls the shattering of the self for the person who gets cheated on. Now here's the scary part. Cheating is way more common than you think. According to data from the U.S. General Social Survey analyzing over 13,000 people, about 21% of men and 13% of women admit to having sex with someone other than their spouse while married, and that's just the ones who admitted it. When you include emotional affairs, inappropriate texting, and online relationships, those numbers jump by another 10 to 15 percentage points. That means roughly 1 in 4 people in relationships has crossed the line at some point. Let that sink in. So why do people do it? Well, researchers at the University of Maryland conducted a groundbreaking study published in the Journal of Sex Research where they analyzed nearly 500 people who had cheated and identified 8 core motives. This is huge because it shows that cheating isn't just about sex or boredom. There are 8 distinct psychological drivers. Number 1, anger. Some people cheat for revenge. Your partner betrayed you, neglected you, or hurt you, so you hurt them back. It's emotional retaliation wrapped in self-justification. Number 2, sexual desire. Feeling sexually unsatisfied or just wanting something different. Something more exciting than what you're getting at home. Number 3, lack of love. This is when people fall out of love but stay in the relationship out of convenience, fear, or kids, and they seek that spark somewhere else. Number 4, neglect. Not getting enough attention, affection, or respect. You feel invisible to your partner, and then someone else makes you feel seen again. Number 5, low commitment. Maybe you never agreed to be exclusive, or one partner thinks it's serious while the other is keeping options open. Ambiguity breeds infidelity. Number 6, situation. This is the alcohol-fueled hookup, the work trip, the high-stress moment where your normal boundaries collapse. Opportunity plus lowered inhibitions equals bad decisions. Number 7, esteem. Using an affair to feel desirable, powerful, or validated. It's less about the other person and more about proving to yourself that you've still got it. And number 8, variety. Some people just want multiple sexual or romantic experiences. They crave novelty and see monogamy as boring or unrealistic. The Maryland study found that men were more likely to report motives of sexual desire, variety, and situational factors, while women were more likely to say they cheated because of neglect. But here's what's really important. Most people who cheat have multiple motives happening at once. It's rarely just one thing. It's a perfect storm of vulnerabilities, unmet needs, and opportunity. But there's another layer to this. Personality. Not everyone who's unhappy cheats, right? So what makes some people more likely to cross that line, enter the Dark Triad? These are 3 personality traits that psychologists have linked to higher rates of infidelity, and they're pretty chilling. Narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Narcissists feel entitled. They believe they deserve admiration and see partners as resources to be used. If you're not giving them enough attention or validation, they'll find it somewhere else without guilt. Psychopaths have low empathy and high impulsivity. They seek thrills and don't feel bad about hurting people. For them, cheating is just another exciting risk. Machiavellians are master manipulators. They're strategic, they're calculating, and they have very few moral constraints. They cheat because they can, and they're good at hiding it. A 2025 study published in Forbes explained that people with dark triad traits often justify cheating by seeking excitement in long-term relationships while maintaining a socially acceptable image. They want the stability of a committed relationship for appearances and resources, but they also crave the novelty and thrill of affairs. And here's the kicker. People with these traits are also more likely to suspect their partners of cheating even when there's no evidence, because they assume everyone else is as dishonest as they are. If you can't trust yourself, how can you trust anyone else? Now let's talk about attachment theory. This is where things get really psychological. Your attachment style, which is shaped by your early relationships with caregivers, plays a massive role in whether you're likely to cheat. A 2023 meta-analysis of 17 studies involving over 13,000 participants found that people with insecure attachment are significantly more likely to cheat. There are two main types of insecure attachment, avoidant and anxious. Avoidant people are uncomfortable with closeness. They value independence highly and use affairs to maintain emotional distance and avoid becoming too dependent on one person. Anxious people, on the other hand, cling to relationships and fear abandonment. They might cheat to seek reassurance and validation when they feel insecure or unloved. Both are using infidelity as a dysfunctional coping mechanism for their deep-rooted fears about intimacy. And then there's the brain science. Researchers at Amen clinics have found that cheating is linked to dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. When you meet someone new, when there's flirtation and sexual tension, your brain lights up with dopamine just like it does with drugs. Some people become addicted to that high. They chase it over and over. On top of that, people with weaker prefrontal cortex function, the part of the brain responsible for self-control and planning, have a harder time resisting impulses. Add alcohol or stress into the mix, and that self-control gets even weaker. There's even research showing that certain genetic variations in the dopamine D4 receptor are associated with higher rates of sexual novelty seeking and infidelity. Some people are literally wired to crave new experiences more than others. But here's where it gets even more insidious. Therapist Shirley Glass talks about something she calls walls and windows. In a healthy relationship, you have windows into your partner's world, their friends, their feelings, their daily life, and you have walls protecting your relationship from outsiders. But when an affair starts, those walls and windows flip. You start closing the window to your spouse. You stop sharing. You become distant. And you open a window to someone else. You start sharing secrets, dreams, and emotions with them instead. That's when a friendship becomes an affair. It's not always about sex. It's about secrecy and emotional intimacy in the wrong place. Ned Fulmer wasn't just physically involved with a coworker. He was living a double life, hiding a whole part of himself from his wife. That's the betrayal. That's what shatters trust. So what does all this mean for you? Well, first, if you're in a relationship, pay attention to those 8 motives. Are you feeling neglected? Sexually unsatisfied, angry? Don't let those feelings fester in silence. Communicate. Go to therapy if you need to, because unspoken pain is where affairs are born. Second, be honest about your attachment style and personality. If you know you crave novelty or struggle with commitment, either work on it or don't get into relationships where you're expected to be exclusive. And third, watch out for the red flags in partners. Do they have a history of cheating? Do they display narcissistic or manipulative traits? Are they secretive about their phone or constantly accusing you of cheating for no reason? These are warning signs that shouldn't be ignored. Cheating isn't a simple moral failure. It's a psychological event where inner vulnerabilities, relationship dynamics, and external opportunities collide. Understanding that doesn't excuse it, but it does help us see it coming and protect ourselves. Or if you've been cheated on, it helps you understand that it probably wasn't about you at all. It was about them and their unresolved issues. So here's my question for you. Do you think people who cheat can change, or is it always a pattern that repeats? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if this video opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe, because we're diving deep into the psychology of relationships, manipulation, and the human mind every single week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.